Hello, once again, and welcome to our agribusiness management tip. It's nice to know that you are there. We've really been having a nice time, and I'm sure that you have been able to get a thing or two that is applicable to your own farming operation. Like we said in our last podcast, that today we'll be focusing on farm most prized assets, which is the human resources. Every business operation knows that the human resources is the most prized asset in the business, and everything needs to put in place to ensure that we make the most of it. In definition of terms, human resources planning talks about the continuous process of planning ahead to ensure that you have the best policy, you have the best operation strategy that attracts the best manpower to your organization. Every organization wants to ensure they have the best hands in the business. So how do you ensure that among the rest that you are able to attract the best hands into your business, and not just attracting the best hands, that you are also able to motivate these hands to ensure they give their best to the system? So without wasting time, we'll just go straight into the process that everybody needs to focus on when coming up with a human resources planning process. The first one is analyzing the present labor supply. Look at your goal, look at your business operation, look at the size of your farm, look at the size of the operation of your activity, look at the interface between machines and manpower, and do an analysis and come up with a projected size, a projected labor supply, labor need that is expected to achieve this set goal. It is very vital, very important, and if you get this right, is the first step towards having a successful human resources planning. The second thing we need to do is forecast the labor demand. Look at it. How much demand do this business need? Now we've been able to identify the labor supply. Is this demand available? Then you need to check that. The third part you need to look at is you need to balance the supply with the demand. There is one thing to have a demand. There is another thing to have the supply that can sustain it. Imagine you are running a farming operation, let's say 100 hectares of rice farm, but the available manpower that you need to sustain that farming operation, you need, let's say, 30 full-time staff, but the market can only make 20 available. It's only wise to readjust your plan to be able to fit into the market what the manpower supply is available, or you augment such supply with machineries. So there is need for one to be very realistic. Then the fourth part which you need to do is you need to ensure that whatever plan you are putting up in place here is in line with the organization's goal. The goal is the compass. Everything that is done in every agribusiness operation hovers around the goal. So that's why we can never stop talking about the goal of the business. Having a good human resources strategy in place, we mean having results, having a profitable and a productive farming business. If you can have a good human resources plan, you are guaranteed to an extent that you will have a profitable agribusiness operation. Human resources planning needs not to be static. It needs to be flexible. It should be able to adjust as time goes on. As you know, human beings are the most uncertain people. There are a lot of changes that can happen. A demand can come up from nowhere that can take your reliable staff from you. So you must be able to set up a system that is flexible, that enables you to change conditions of your operation, because business environment changes also over time. So you don't start afresh. So you must adopt a system that is able to manage changes, that is able to manage uncertainties that confront it. Now, what are some of the challenges that attract every farm operations when we are talking about managing human resources? There are some certain things that are outside the control. For example, you have worked out a plan that you need this particular amount of staff to run your project, and some things happen. Imagine if a staff gets ill, what's going to happen? The staff will not be available. Imagine if family issues comes up and is not available. Imagine a scenario where they get a better offer. These are challenges that you have to confront with. So you must be able to look ahead of them and plan towards it. To achieve the best human resources objective, you need to plan towards finding and attracting the skilled employee that meets your goal. You need to plan specifically how to select, train, and reward the best candidates. Very important. If you don't give the best rewards to the staff, be rest assured that it's just a matter of time you will lose the staff. You need to cope with managing conflict. Human beings are not robots. There will always be conflict of interest. There will be between colleagues, between management. One must be able to put up a structure in place that can help manage such. Then finally, you must be able to come up with a proper and effective reward system that gives the manpower the vision and and understanding that there's a future here, because every manpower, every staff, every personnel wants to ensure that their own personal goals is also achieved as they put in their best to ensure that the business is achieving its own corporate goal. So we must always have that at the back of our mind. And I want to quickly say this: it is very important for you to have a mental picture of the kind of staff that you want to work with, the kind of manpower you want to work with. You should be able that, and that is what you should look out for when you are planning your manpower capacity and your manpower needs and the filling up the manpower positions. What picture do you have in mind? If you are going to go a long way, you should be looking at people who are stable, people who will not just work with you after a short while, that they leave the system, you employ a new set of people and you start the concept of the learning curve theory once again. There is need for you to have this at the back of your mind. If a company is going to have the best employee, the company must put the best practices in place. You must put the best policies in place. You must ensure that at all times that you reward productivity and you discourage sluggishness, you discourage non-productivity, you discourage drawbacks. You must ensure at all times that the company, it doesn't lack leadership. Let's always remember that having the best hands is a clear-cut direction towards having the best result. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a productive day.